highest court validated Obamacare, this time on the subject of federal subsidies. But that does not mean the end to Republican vows to repeal and replace it. We have Fox team coverage tonight. Mike Emanuel looks at reaction to the decision on the campaign trail and on Capitol Hill. But we begin at the U.S. Supreme Court with correspondent Shannon Breen. Good evening, Shannon.
Hello, Brett. Well, for the second time, the Supreme Court, led by Chief Justice John Roberts, the George W. Bush appointee, has upheld President Obama's chief legislative achievement and handed the administration a big win. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court made clear it will have no part in dismantling the Affordable Care Act. At issue, whether the IRS violated the law when it extended subsidies aimed at making health insurance more affordable into all 50 states, despite a phrase in the ACA that says subsidies will extend into states that have set up exchanges, and more than 30 of them chose not to. Writing for the majority, Chief Justice John Roberts said, quote, "While the meaning of the phrase an exchange established by the state may seem plain when viewed in isolation, such a reading turns out to be untenable in light of the statute as a whole," adding, "Those credits are necessary to avoid the type of calamitous result that Congress plainly meant to avoid." In a fiery dissent, Justice Antonin Scalia countered, "This court rewrites the law to make tax credits available everywhere. We should start calling this law Scotuscare." He referred to the majority's somersaults of statutory interpretation, saying they lead to, quote, "the discouraging truth that the Supreme Court of the United States favors some laws over others and is prepared to do whatever it takes to uphold and assist its favorites." For months, the administration has been dogged by statements by so-called Obamacare architect, MIT economist Jonathan Gruber, like this one.
If you're a state and you don't set up an exchange, that means your citizens don't get their tax credits.
The administration had repeatedly tried to distance itself from Gruber, despite his numerous appointments at the White House, including at least one meeting with the president as the law was being drafted, and remained confident it would be victorious.
This law's working, and it's going to keep doing just that.
Neither the administration nor lawmakers appeared to have a backup plan in the event that the court struck down the extension of the subsidies and may have dodged a political bullet.
We're going to continue our efforts to do everything we can to put the American people back in charge of their own health care and not the federal government.
It's a victory for common sense and for all American families.
Judicial, executive, and legislative branches aside, the latest Fox News poll shows half of Americans aren't convinced. 50% still say they wish the law had never been passed, versus 45% who are glad it was. A number of states that did not set up exchanges were wondering if they would be forced to following a ruling today that struck down the subsidies. But because that didn't happen, after today's ruling, a number of experts are saying there's really no motivation for the states to do that, instead avoiding the headache and the expense of setting up the exchanges and just letting their residents go through the federal exchange, healthcare.gov. Brett?
Shannon Breen, after a long day outside the U.S. Supreme Court. Shannon, thank you.